Peace and respect to you all. Welcome to Demolished Doctrine, the beginning of the end of religions. And Big Zebra just showed up in the Peace and Respect Halcyonic Kaiju. And Big Zebra, if you want to come in, you don't have to. Love you either way. I'm going to do this for you, just in case you didn't get the email for whatever reason. Computers are weird. Sometimes they fail. All right. You're welcome to come in. Halcyonic, you're welcome to come in if you want.
Enjoying the logic shows with Halcyonic, by the way. Really nice.
Yeah.
Really cool.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Gonna make it in my homeschool curriculum.
Sweet. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Halcyonic is doing a bang up job. And I'm trying to play devil's advocate and reiterate things in different, new, interesting ways, so that we have more ways to look at the same thing, more direct, more perspectives on the same topic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And that's going okay. All right. So today Mac came in and said, I don't have a topic because I said, do you have a topic or should I make an assertion? And Mac said, go ahead and make an assertion. So here's my assertion. The reason that the creator in ancient religions is kind of put aside, or peace and respect, Big Zebra.
Hello.
Hi. How are you? How was your week?
It was okay, thank you. Very sleepy, but otherwise okay. I felt I was interrupting you in a sense. You were talking about making an assertion.
Yes, I'll start over. It's okay. You were like joining the stream and stuff.
Okay.
He hadn't gotten too far.
I don't usually have that problem where I don't remember what we were talking about, unless the switch of topic is really severe. Then it bothers me. But no, it's fine. Okay. Don't feel bad about that. Although you're extremely kind for extending any apology. You zebras are awful nice. I had no idea before I met you. But okay, so here's the assertion that the reason the creator God is always like kind of distant in these stories, like there's the idea of the Brahman, right? But and the Brahman does the creation, true, as responsible, for our existence. That's in the story. But then he's kind of not made a big deal out of. He's kind of brushed off to the side. And the same thing with the occurrence of Elohim in the beginning of the Bible, that you have a hard time getting a Jew or a Christian to talk about Elohim. It's kind of a side note. But the important thing is the Yahweh, or the Shiva, or, these iterations below that are huge important to us. And if you think about that, you're going, well, wait, aren't we blowing off the highest God? Well, the creator God, well, yeah, we are. We're blowing it off. And how does that even make sense? Especially in the light of Christians go, God the creator, et cetera, et cetera. And they'll go on about that, but they don't seem to recognize that the one claiming to be creator is Elohim and not Yahweh. They don't seem to realize that that's literally not in the Bible, that Yahweh is the creator. It's just not there. So that's super interesting, right? Okay, so here's my assertion. It's appropriate that it's swept off to the side, because it's not the same thing as us at all. And the reason that it's not the same thing, and the reason that the Tanakh uses Elohim instead of Jehovah, is to make that separation, and that it's not the same as us. And I think I can make a pretty good case for that being a different world where that happened, and that individual in charge we call Satan. We call a demon. We call Ravan. And that's who the creator is. Now, Mac, you said that made you at least icky.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, hearing you restate it like that reminds me of what I know about the whole like Gnostic tradition of considering like the creator God to be, I think they called him Yadalboeth or something like that, and considered it, him to be delusional, like sort of like a mad God who didn't act with reason and didn't really understand his limitations. And part of that story is that the bigger God, the good God, I guess, or the God outside of that God, has a child named Sophia who like enters the world, like kind of sneaks into the Yadalboeth's world, and that's wisdom. Sophia is
Right.
wisdom, and so that's the route out. Like that's the route out of the material world of madness and illusion and to truth and glory is through wisdom. So that's a little bit more coherent for me than the just like the Satan created us, because the conception of Satan is the adversary, which means
Sure.
that the interest that entity would have concerning us or anything really would be destruction, not creation. Would be adversarial.
There's limited destruction. For instance, you have whatever freedoms you have. But if you were the wrong person in the wrong part of the world right now, you'd be a slave.
Yeah.
So
there's limited destruction.
Yeah, there is. I mean, there's absolute destruction too, but there's limited destruction.
Yeah.
Like restricting a person's rights as a human, restricting their ability to succeed in life. In the U.S., it would be the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That those are rights, but some people don't have those rights, and some people who are assigned those rights can't exercise them. So there's limited destruction, and the Bible goes on and on. In fact, all the stories go on and on about how that's bad, how being restricted and not having your natural freedoms is an evil thing. It's not a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what it's describing, and the reason it talks so much about slavery, is because we were originated as slaves. That was why we were made. So is that an enemy, a slave keeper of us? Is that an enemy to us? I think so.
That's true.
That
that's
means
a reason
us
to do creation.
harm.
That's yeah.
I mean, is a liar, a manipulator, a controller, all of those? Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
Am I still muted?
Oh,
no, you're not muted. You're just real quiet.
Here we go.
Hey.
I was I'm sorry, but something you said sort of made me wander off in my own little brain. And I was thinking about how we humans, even though we have the God concept as an all-powerful, sort of omniscient, omnipresent, muckety-muck, grand poobah.
Well, I do. Richard doesn't. But
right.
Yeah.
But in general, humans do. If you ask them to define God or the God of the Bible. But in some ways, our ideas of God haven't changed, even from the pagan days, because we always have a pantheon, even though it's silly. And so we have angels and even half angels, and we have archangels, and like 11 different types of angels, just as the Greek gods had a messenger god and a goddess of the hunt and a god of war. And
it's all the saints too.
Yes,
Catholic, yeah. And they
all have Catholic, yeah.
Yeah.
And the Buddhists have bodhisattvas, and I wonder if the Hindus, well, of course, Hindus have many, many gods, but excuse me, I have to cough. Okay, so I don't know where this is leading, But it sounds like in our brains somehow, God, this supernatural agency, requires a sort of bureaucracy that divides up the tasks. And I don't know, I just find that very odd, and I'm not sure what it means, if anything. But
Say it again. I
well,
think
that
I need you to say it a different way.
okay, well, that in order for there to be a supernatural element, that
Hmm.
they have to do what humans do, which is specialize in tasks. So you have a shoemaker, you have someone else who farms, you have someone
Mm.
else who's a metal worker,
Okay.
just like Hephaestus. What was his Vulcan? Hephaestus and Vulcan are the same. And
God of super volcano.
yes, the
Yeah.
he made special armor for various heroes and gods, and
But a super volcano really would do that.
well, would it make armor? It would kill everyone.
Yes.
But would it make?
Yes, it would kill a small percentage of the population, a great number of people. Yeah.
Mm.
And it's not too much of a stretch, I think, to say that people would notice it
Yes.
and it would severely change their lives, and it would make people not as willing to stay on this earth if they had a different option.
Oh.
And it would make people realize certain things about ancient religions, that this is what it was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And that would bolster the gods. It really would.
I see. By yes. Well, I just thought it was odd, but in this case, using a natural phenomenon as a stand-in for a supernatural agent like Hephaestus.
How about it's using a fairy tale supernatural agent to represent the actuality? How about that?
Okay, but I don't see a one-to-one correspondence. Like one thing is standing in for another, that it's a different expression of the same thing.
You have to look at the stories those gods are involved in, I think. I don't really get the armor thing, though. How does it make armor?
It's empowering to the gods. It makes them stronger. It makes them more able to do battle because a prophecy came true.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. Well,
it doesn't make literal physical armor, of course.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh.
But it could if it wanted to. That doesn't make any sense at all.
There could be volcanic flows of metallic or semi-metallic stone, which you could use as armor, I guess. It's thin enough.
It's mostly, isn't it mostly iron and nickel? But anyway, it doesn't matter.
Nickel's pretty tough, and I mean, iron and nickel equals stainless steel. So
I guess so. I was hoping for more depleted uranium. That's what. Although it must be incredibly dense.
You'd want to make that into spearheads and arrowheads and not carry it on your person, though.
That's not a really good idea.
It's not good armor.
That is a great idea.
If you had depleted uranium arrows, though, that's pretty damn good.
No wonder, like, the Abrams tank can weigh about 70 tons plus.
Okay, now we're just too far off. I mean, it was fun, but let's drag it back over somewhere closer.
I'm very good at this sort of thing. It's suddenly it's something I love is talking about something in the background that, so someone will be doing a stream and I'll talk. On one occasion, I was talking about this strange box that was on their couch, and eventually they realized I was referring to a box of tissues. And then after this went on for a while, I said, "Hey, is that 2-ply?" And then they got really angry and just threw the box away, which I took as a great victory on my part.
Goodness gracious.
Yes. But
that's magic right there. When you can use your words to make someone else do something unreasonable, that's magic.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard. That made my day.
We can
But maybe
we could tickle the Greek tradition a little more, because in Greek tradition there's Zeus, which supposedly has a etymology that's connected to Jesus. But more importantly, behind Zeus is this big scary time god named Kronos,
yes,
who's like super dark and destructive, eating his children, and like all kinds of like jealousy, and he's represented by Saturn, interestingly.
Was he the one who got castrated by Zeus?
Probably, I don't know. But he would have been also like pre-Vulcan too, so like
yes, he would have been.
Yeah, but also pre-people, like pre-human beings.
Was Kronos, which is also the moon around the planet of no, Praxis was the moon around the planet Kronos, which was the home world of the Klingons.
Oh,
was Kronos castrated? Here we go. Yeah.
Every time I look at one of these stories and read their entire storyline, like I'll give you a for instance, and you'd think, okay, there's no way the Bible is related to Hinduism.
Right.
Hinduism is probably around 7,000 years older than Judaism.
Yeah. Completely
and
different
tradition. They claim, although it can't be shown because there's literally no history,
right?
But they claim that they've been practicing that religion for about 20,000 years.
Right.
Okay. So a really long time before there were Jews. Okay. Before there was ever Tanakh or Torah or anything. And you would think that you're not going to find an overlap between what's in the Bible and what's in Hinduism, for instance. But I looked into the god Agnes, Agnes.
Yeah.
Because the Bible led me down this entire series of what is Vulcan, and what's the other name you gave for this god?
Hephaestus is the Greek name for
Hephaestus. Vulcan. Very good, thank you.
I do it.
This is probably the third time I've heard that in my life, and I haven't memorized it yet. But if you look at the situation of Anges, what is it? Anges, Arges? Oh crap! I did it wrong. Agnes.
Mm-hmm. Sorry. Agnes.
Agnes. Agnes.
Huh.
Agnes has in most of course there's art and it varies over time and different artists express it different ways, but traditionally Agnes has more than one head, in fact 3 heads.
Wow.
And wears hats, and unlike those people in those time and those gods, the hat is a cone equal in all directions on all 3 of the heads.
Okay.
And one of the heads is feminine, while the other 2 are very masculine. And it's pregnant. This god is pregnant.
Oh. And
the pregnancy is red and swollen. It doesn't look like a healthy, normal pregnancy. And is carrying a censer or staff, short staff that would not reach the ground. And there's flame shooting out of the top of the staff, and there's flame shooting out of the bottom of the staff. And they're riding a goat.
Oh.
Okay. And out of the cones, the cone-shaped hats, emits black smoke and white smoke. And the white smoke is different from the black smoke and separate. This is exactly, I think, the very lowly but very powerful, having a chamber underneath of it of a swelling, not very nice pregnancy, emitting smoke and flame and stuff out of the top. I mean, it's a freaking super volcano. And the reason that we call it a volcano is because it's named after Vulcan, whose story has all of these aspects too. I also additionally found it, in the Bible, and there was a quaking of the earth, spitting hail and fire mingled with blood. That what could quake the whole earth and spit hail of fire, and that would be mingled with blood? There would be life loss. And in the book of Revelation, and I thought I saw horsemen, and they had breastplates of fire and jacinth, and the horses had the heads of lions, and out of the lion's mouth emit smoke and fire, and they had tails, and with also their tails they did harm. Dude, that just sounds like a lion mouth, and and the trail of lava coming out of the top of the volcano is its tail. Now it's really poetic, and often is, but I mean, I just see this story repeated so many times. But it requires that you take into consideration the people and the time and the way that they would need it expressed. There's also the planet Kachina, who does the most violent of the Kachina dances, and he has a brown apron with red tassels coming out of the top of it around his waist, ankles, and the cuffs. The wrists of his hands, and he wears a conical hat, which has a black feather going really tall and straight, and then a white feather off to the side like this, and red strips coming down out of his conical hat. I mean, and just over and over and over and over and over. Thoughts?
Well, this is the Hindu tradition, you say, with Agnes?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
if you read the story of Agnes, it's going to be angry and disturbing to the people, even damaging to the people, but really impactful. And overall, eventually, if you read enough of the stories, it's going to be a good thing overall, although very hard at the time. And he's just like the scariest, most violent thing that's ever been recorded. He's the most extreme god, you know. But I don't think that there's any supernatural actual being who is Agnes. I think he represents a volcano.
Right. By the way, I wanted to correct myself for something I said earlier. When I mentioned Kronos being castrated, I had that backwards. Kronos castrates his father, Uranus, in the Greek tradition. But anyway, back to Agni and volcanoes.
Is it Agni? It might be Agni.
Agni, yeah, but you can call her Agnes if you feel like you know her personally.
I have an aunt named Agnes. She's very sweet.
Not aptly named, which is okay.
So the claim is, or the story is, that these others did some creation, did some what we would call creation, but what from like a bigger point of view would look like more like genetic design, kind of like
in science
stuff.
they have a term for things that are in us that aren't anywhere else on the planet.
Things that are
and
in
that's
us.
It's orphan genes. They call them orphan because they're unrelated.
Oh.
So I'd look into orphan genes and go, how the hell did that get there?
That seems like a good question. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah.
So these guys stitch us together in order to make us slaves.
Well, to some end. They already had slaves, and they were doing improvements on their slaves, which is why we are obviously related to apes. We are obviously apes. No question. But, you know, the problem with, let's say you made a slave of a chimp, and for outdoor really, really heavy work, you know.
Sure.
You made plowing a slave of plowing and stuff. You used bovine and gorillas. And if you think a gorilla ain't smart enough to drive a bovine, you're just plain freaking wrong.
Right.
They are. They're plenty smart enough to like plow a field. No problem. Are they going to be able to work in your factories, though?
Not without unionizing.
Yeah, that's right. So if you made a guerrilla union, that might work out.
Yeah.
But they're just not smart enough to do highly technical things. So what you want is a smarter ape. That's what you want. Because that just takes more work off of you and more work off of you. If you make a smart enough ape just right, you might not have to work at all. So that's what they were attempting.
Over.
They have factories for us.
They have great tech. They use us as they use ancient man. Here's my proposition. There are still on Satan's homeworld proto-man or cavemen or our ancestors, and they're still slaves right now. Australopithecus is a slave on Satan's homeworld, etc.
Huh. Doing like factory work.
Doing whatever needs done. I mean,
Right.
They may have made we were a mistake. That doesn't mean they quit trying. And they probably eventually got their perfect slave. They probably did. And it's probably something very, very similar to us. It's of the ape classification family or whatever. And it's intelligent enough that it can do all kinds of technical work. It's probably not big on emotions or personal opinions or free will or anything like that, where it would rebel.
They probably have improved hands.
What's that?
They probably have improved hands. Our ape relatives have a problem with their thumbs. They're almost like a very long finger, and they don't oppose properly. So
that's right. They can't do this.
Off the ground. Yeah. They don't really pinch so much as rotate their hands so they're almost like knuckles on the ground, and then pinch something with their thumb and forefinger.
Yeah, they pinch like this. That's how they grab, or like this.
Huh.
But they're not good at this.
No.
Yeah, we have an extra muscle just for everybody that thinks that our theory of evolution is perfect. I want to point out something where it's not perfect. When you see any of the apes aside from us walk, you'll see them wobble back and forth like this. The reason is they don't have a muscle on the outside of the leg joining the knee to the hip, and they can't push that leg out. So they can't stand steady on one leg. They can't walk a straight line. They simply cannot do it. We have an extra muscle they don't have. And we have an extra muscle right here that they don't have, that came from something. Because you can't just generate a new muscle. That doesn't happen. You can't generate an organ. You can't generate a muscle. Not in that time frame. Doesn't work. So that's interesting.
Well, I don't know how long it would take, so I couldn't confirm or deny your claim. But surely different critters can have different groups of muscles.
Well, one-celled animals don't have what we call muscles at all.
No.
And we do. Okay. But we don't see the addition of new muscles and structures like that, even amongst things much further from each other than we are from apes.
I don't know. There's a weird thing where they figure out that our ancestors must have developed a gene that stopped working, and it's if you look at some gorillas, they have a ridge of muscle bone that goes. Yes, thank you, Richard. And when the sort of muscles and tensors that were deactivated in our ancestors, it allowed our skulls to get bigger and have bigger brains.
When the baby is developing, the brain and skull is there way before the jaw muscles have any tension on them. This makes no sense in reality. That theory makes no sense unless you go all the way back to and this is widely dismissed, by the way.
It is.
This kind of idea, Mendelian genetics.
Yeah.
that's what that's saying is Mandel was right, and nobody thinks so.
Oh, well, then I stand corrected then. What do you think of that?
I mean, if maybe some very intelligent, well-educated person is espousing that, but that's saying that the muscles around the brain kept the brain case from being bigger. That's a bullcrap answer. We would just have huge jaw muscles and a ridge on a bigger skull.
Although we have our jaw muscles, by comparison to, say, a gorilla or a chimpanzee, are incredibly weak.
Oh, yeah. No, we're weak in almost every way. In fact, if you know anything about torsion and torque, for every twice the distance from the pivot point, you get twice the effective torque from the same amount of pressure. That's just how it works. So if you hung on a 1 foot lever at a pivot point, 1 pound, that is literally 1 pound foot. That's what 1 pound foot means, or foot pound means. Okay. Now, without changing the weight, if you make the handle twice as long, the torque will be 2 foot pounds. That's what it'll be. Now, what did you do? You made the weight further from the joint. That's all you did. Now look at how stringy and bony the other apes look. And the reason they look like that is because their joints and where muscles attach is further away from the joint. I.e., they have like twice the leverage you have. That's why they'll kick your ass. That's why they'll kick your ass. A 60-pound ape kick your ass at 180-pound man, no chance.
Unless I have some sort of AK-47, then that.
I used to.
Sorry.
Well, yes, if you have some actual material advantage, but if it were just physically your body against their body, you really don't run a chance. I used to kid that if I ever got rich, in fact, I was kind of half serious when I was about 14, that I would have surgeries to have my bones extended and have my tendons reattached at the further point on the bone. And yeah, I'd look funny, but if I did that enough, I could be, 3 times a normal human strength.
Well, you'd need
I could
muscles
become a living.
to go along
I
with
could become a living superhero. What's that?
Well, you'd need muscles to grow along with it. I don't know if your muscles would automatically accommodate.
You're not hearing me, man. 1 pound is 1 pound is 1 pound. 1 pound further away is twice as much. It doesn't take stronger muscles. That's not the key.
Longer though.
Well, it'd be a little bit long. It'd be uncomfortable as hell for 6-8 months every time you had one of these surgeries.
Yes. Well, suppose
but that's not a big problem.
A 1 pound weight that was on the end of a stick that was 1 foot long, and you tried to pick it up. Now imagine you've got a 10-foot pole and a 1 pound weight at the end of it, and you tried to pick it up. That would be a lot harder.
It's 100 foot pounds. If the pole weighed nothing, you just described 100 foot pounds.
Yes.
Which is a lot more than 1 foot pound. Yeah.
And so your body might have more increased difficulty moving.
No.
It wouldn't?
No. It would be easier. Now my body is the 10-foot rod. That's what I was talking about. Is like when I was a kid, I thought it'd be cool to be a real superhero. And I found a way that you could actually do it. You just have all the places where your joints have leverage, where those tendons attach. Just extend that. Sure, I have some knobby looking knees and some weird looking elbows, and I have protrusions sticking out of my shoulders. But
I have these 2 tendons here in my fingers are connected. They're like connected by surgery into one. That's what this ridge is, surgery, because one of them snapped. So now they're not independent. I can't point this finger without raising the other finger. They're like they're one finger now.
Oh my god.
It's so weird. But I have a fairly functional hand rather than before when it was just a severed tendon, my index finger just drooped like that. I couldn't pick it up at all. So
wow.
now it shares a tendon with the middle finger. So
which is better.
How did you get that accident? How did that happen?
It was the first I had a bicycle accident where I really did a number on my wrist. I Supermaned into the pavement and my wrist pretty much shattered.
Ouch.
And they did some reconstruction at that point that included some screws and plates. But eventually over time, one of those screws, I guess, was rubbing against my tendon and it wore through it. And one day I woke up, my finger stopped working. So I had become accustomed to the pain because there's just pain in my hand now. So,
Mac, an injury like that on me would have totally killed my sex life. Just ruined it.
I use it as a conversation piece. Hey, want to see how I can't point? Yeah, no, it's been a saga. I don't know what'll happen next with it, but what's funny to me is that I mean, I'm pleased to have a fairly functional hand, but it's great to see these surgeons that are like, you know, I was at work. I was a bicycle messenger, so this is all workman's comp. So the surgeons have a bottomless well of money to draw from, and so they get excited and they get their top like hand experts to look at it. And I don't think anybody's ever had this before, where they had the tendons tied together. So they took a lot of pictures. They were bringing in their colleagues.
How can we do this? This is cool. Yeah. We got to do something different now.
Exactly. Yeah, it was kind of a trip watching them engineer the whole thing. So
okay, I'm gonna drag it back again.
Drag it back again. I apologize. I've got a guy with a chainsaw in my yard right now, so
it's not that bad for us.
Okay. Oh, good. All right.
It just sounds like I'm gonna do an imitation of it.
All right.
Like
not
when
a very
you're
big
talking.
saw.
Not very. No big deal.
All right. Cool.
It's fine.
Peace and respect, spooky bed hair. Rebuke and reprove.
Hey guys.
Rebuke. While you're here, try not to make any political assessments or assertions. Please try to be on topic for once. That would be nice.
We're talking about how Satan originally created us.
Yes.
Do we know that?
And I mean, according to stories.
Oh, you mean ones outside the Bible?
No, I mean, including the Bible. The Bible claims that Satan is the Elohim and his kind are the Elohim that are referred to at the beginning of the Bible in reference to how we came to be.
Oh, okay. Well,
and then it goes into great detail in the story of Herod and how Herod was warned that if he kept messing around with these slaves, one of them was going to, there was a prophecy that one of them was going to take his throne. So the next caste that was born, which were only males, were all killed off, except for one of them. I'm going to say gestational mother did something weird and stupid and unpredictable. She kept it hidden as long as she could, but you can only keep a baby hidden because they're growing up for so long, and everybody's going to know when it was born and know that it was part of that batch, and they're going to kill it. So she took a literal wicker basket, a woven basket, and lined it in pitch inside and out, and put a cloth in it and put the baby in it and sent it down the damn river. Nobody expected that. And then by happenstance alone that we exist, think about this, by happenstance that we exist, the princess actually picked it up without asking permission, without saying, hey, I've got this weird thing, I want to keep it. She just picks it up out of the river, starts taking care of it. That thing grows up to be put in charge of all of infrastructure and taxation in their world. One person, 2/3 of government. That's how cool we are.
So that's Moses.
Yes.
And Jesus. And
yes. It's the origination of the original Jesus. It's the very structure that makes Jesus necessary.
So you say that this was a story of Herod that has the creation of humans being performed by Satan?
Well, the rest of the text says that Adam was made outside of the garden and put into the garden. So you got that. 2:8 of Genesis.
Okay.
You have that there is no Yahweh, no Jehovah, you could say it that way, until there's an Adam, then poof, Jehovah appears. Yay! And everything before Adam is Elohim. And when you look into the root of Elohim,
that's interesting.
It's a group. And when you look into the meaning of the breakdowns of the individual parts of because that's a multi Elohim is a multi what is that, a compressed word? What's the right word, guys? It's a compound word. Yes. When you look into the roots of the most important, the point of the word Elohim, it's powerful but not benevolent or malevolent, and it could be neither. It could be completely benign, just powerful beings. So I don't think any of that's an accident. I don't think they wrote this accidentally or casually. And certainly when this made, ink on paper, they knew the word Jehovah and they knew the word Elohim. And if they wanted to change it, they could have. And they didn't. Because they thought, I don't get this, but this is what it reads. This is what we're going to write down. This is the story, whether you like it or not. Now, I heard Rabbi Tovia Singer, who is world famous if you're unfamiliar with him.
Yeah, I know the guy.
He's one of the most outspoken and well-spoken and educated Jews who will interact with this kind of a community. There could be smarter guys, but they don't interact. I don't know. But Tovia Singer took the word Elohim, recognized that it's a plural, ignored the fact that it's plural beings, changed it to plural powers of God, of a monotheistic God. Now, I find that super interesting because if he actually thinks that, that's cognitive dissonance. There's no way to make person powers. No way. A person and a power is not the same thing. But that's their justification. That's how far they have to just go to stretch that to make monotheism out of Elohim. Because you can't.
Right. Oh, that's wild.
So the Jews make it multiple powers instead of multiple persons. But what it literally means is multiple persons.
Huh.
So it's not even, the Bible does not even open up with monotheism. Just by the way, Christians.
Right.
It's not there. Clout goes, Elo them? Exactly. It's an Elo them. Peace and respect, Clout. And Rebuke, you can like say I'm wrong all the time. But if you can find me a definition of Elohim and its etymology and show that I'm wrong, that'd be a lot better than an assertion. By the way, I can share screen right now and using Strong's and Jusinius show you that I'm right. It's not monotheism. It's not how the Bible opens. It's an Elohim. And it doesn't say if they're good or bad. Now, me personally being tribalistic, I think it's good that there's this earth. And I think it's good that we suffer and have beauty on this earth. I think that's good. So the Elohim that did that, I'm going to call them angels or archangels. But the Elohim who had slaves of ancient man and made us and then named us weird thing with emotions, and that's what our name means. weird thing with emotions, indicates in every way that they don't have emotions. So they're powerful beings that are emotionless. Is that your God? Is your God even one powerful being that is emotionless? Do you subscribe to multiple gods? Because that's what Elohim means. Peace and respect to Freak. Benny Hinn described the Holy Spirit as Jesus Unlimited. I kind of agree. At least as a description of the way God manifests and manifests his power. Okay. I have never seen, how can I put this? Because I did gain arches at age 51 and was flat-footed the rest of my life. And now I have lovely arches and it's so easy to walk, and I'm still discovering how awesome they are.
Were you allowed to serve in the Army, or was it the Air Force you were in? I can't remember.
I was in the Army, and flat-footed was not a problem because arch supports had been invented.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they didn't care if you were flat-footed.
That's cool.
They would, oh, you're flat-footed? We recommend arch supports. Here, have these inserts for your boots. We'll give you the first pair, the rest of them you buy. That's what the Army said to me about my flat-footedness.
Oh, whose doggo is that?
Oh,
so
that's
I can't say quote unquote miracles don't happen, but I could say something like my epigenetics dictated that I did not code for arches until I was 51. So did God change me to give me arches, or did he just set me up for failure in the first place and let it self-correct later? I mean, I'm okay with it either way. I ain't mad. But I used to have bones pop out the bottom of my feet. I was so flat-footed.
Ouch. Holy crap.
And now I have fun purposefully stepping on rounded, protruding objects like curbs because it feels good, which is super weird to me. It's like I would never have known that could feel good.
I've never heard what Jill's claiming there about Elohim. God of gods. I mean, that's still be singular. No, it doesn't mean
God of gods.
That would be a singular. That still
would be singular.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'm just going to show you guys. I'll just show you that I'm right. That's no problem. People can do that.
I do like the typo though. The Bible simply beans.
Simply beans.
That's funny.
Where is that?
In Jill's comment. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a typo.
I think he just needs love and attention. Yeah. I mean, I love you. I love you as a fellow human and child of God, Jill. I really do.
You're all right.
Okay, so here's, obviously I'm not just creating this as I go. Here's Blue Letter Bible. Look, it's like Blue Letter Bible and stuff. It's even labeled Blue Letter Bible right there. And then I'm going to use it to search for a word. I'm going to search for the word God. God. Okay, so I searched for God, and look, the word God comes up 4,458 times in all of the King James Version. And what's the word God here? Oh, look, it's in the first sentence. The word God. Is that the word God? Does that say Yahweh? Anybody? Can anyone read that for me? Does that read Yahweh? Anybody? No? No? No, it says Elohim. Oh, what's that? It's Hebrew 4:30. Elohim. Wait, it's got a root word. It's the plural of something else. Let's look at what this plural of something else means. Oh, it's Eloach. And what's that? It's probably the emphatic of 410. If you look up 410, it's God. Okay, but it's just general God. It doesn't say which God. Rarely shortened, Eloach. Supposed to have actually two H's in it. Probably prolonged, the emphatic from 410, a deity or the deity, God. So there you are, singular God. Does anyone see here? Singular God. the deity, God. Yeah? Okay, great. Let's go to the plural of it. What would that be in plural? Oh my gosh, plural gods. It's so shocking. Plural of each.
So Elohim is plural.
Gods in the ordinate. Yes, it's a plural.
How do you say it as a singular?
Eloach.
Eloach.
I'm probably doing that poorly, but Eloach. I do it too hard, actually.
It helps me clear my throat, though.
Ach, yeah. No kidding. Yeah, but Elohim is not a monotheistic term. I mean, there it is on your screen. Try reading it. And saying it's a plural of the supreme God doesn't help, because then you have multiple supreme gods. This is God's powerful beings. Truly, that's what this means.
I would invite rebuke and reprove to demonstrate that there is any creator.
Yeah, right.
So
where can I find where it becomes a different word for God? Let's see. Where is it?
Excuse me.
Schweidenly. Creation of man and woman. Okay, here we are at the 7th day. Is this one Jehovah? What do you think, guys? You want to bet? Oh, sorry, it's Elohim. Oh, crap. Oh. What about the next one?
I thought it was going to be for some reason.
It's because I've done this research and I'm setting this up.
Right, I know.
But I'm right. I'm just correct. I'm not kidding you.
Well, yeah. I knew about Elohim being a plural pronoun when I was in high school. I used it to be like smartass with the Christians, Like,
oh, good for you.
That's like very basic, right? Biblical criticism.
Yeah, this is all very extremely basic. I'm not even doing anything fancy here. What about Lord God? So Lord God's going to be different, actually. Watch this. Jehovah. All of a sudden, we got the word Lord. Where'd that come from? Oh, the Jews invented it in the moment as this script was being written. No. They always had the word Jehovah. What's that?
They meant somebody else.
Yes, they meant someone else, but as soon as you see in the Bible where it starts saying Lord, that means Jehovah. And God is still Elohim. So what does this really read? The powerful beings of the Jehovah. That's what that reads. So I translate this as archangels of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. Powerful beings under the name Jehovah doing good things. I really don't see anything wrong with that. And where did that appear? Check this out, guys. Lord God. First time, where? When the heavens and earth are created. So just like I said, not until there is the Garden of Eden and Adam and Eve is the word Jehovah in the Bible at all. You can look all you want. Peace and respect, theological introspection. Please feel free to. Now, I'd appreciate it if you left me the subscription, but go to subscribe on my channel, hit that button, and you'll get a pop-up, a drop-down list. Hit none, no bells, and then this won't happen to you anymore.
We're glad you're here, though. Sorry.
Absolutely.
Rebuke and approve. I thought that Hebrew didn't have upper and lowercase letters. I could be wrong.
It
there.
doesn't.
So
Huh.
saying that there was a God with a lowercase g doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, he's
It
just
just
making
indicates
crap
how
up.
translations in English.
That's right.
uh,
Oh, he claims that his translation that he reads, he understands it objectively,
Oh, okay.
and it is the word of God. It's not a translation. He does not believe it in translations.
And he also says the sex is fantastic. I don't know
No,
how
that's
that
another
relates,
guy.
though.
That's
No,
somebody else.
Okay.
That's somebody else. That's not him.
What translation does he use? It doesn't matter.
They're all
It doesn't matter.
translations.
I know. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
That's
I
why
gotta love theological introspection, though, for that comment. It just sort of,
Brilliant.
yeah, it just sort of comes in and says, "Hey, I'm going to tell you what I think," without being incredibly rude. He's also saying he's annoyed at the YouTube system that recommended this. By the way, why does he have mod powers?
Oh, I just remembered theological is actually like no kidding, like mad at me or something. I can't remember why. Remind me why you're mad at me.
Oh no. Sorry to make light.
I bet it has to do with the beard.
I just remembered. I'm sorry. I just don't hold grudges. You got to remind me why I did something wrong or why you're mad. I don't know what
Something
you're talking about,
happened.
actually. Yeah.
Actually, Rebuke, the Hebrews were monotheistic for a long time. Not monotheistic, plural.
Poly.
Yeah.
Polytheistic, thank you.
Yes, they were.
For a long time. And
well, to say that right, Zebra, you have to say the Hebrews or Hebrews were polytheistic. They weren't Jews yet.
Right. Okay. But in their past, they were. I think they also became, before they became monotheistic. I'm trying to remember the name of the word, and I'm ashamed to say I can't. But it's where you recognize that many gods exist, but you only worship one.
Oh.
And
you're a devotee. At that point, you have a God that you hold as most high?
I'm going to look up the actual word. It'll take me a little bit.
There is a specialty word I'm not remembering. From the personal perspective outward, you'd call yourself a devotee.
Right.
Or worshiper of that God. Because, I mean, back then you're talking about like each city had its protective God.
Right.
Each city had its own God of, you know, and each city's people were like, oh, in our city,
right.
We found what works best is to worship this one.
Yes.
Now that's all happenstance, you know, based on like anomalous bad crops and anomalous rain conditions, and that's what it was.
Right.
It's all based on pareidolia.
The word is monolarty.
Huh.
I hope I'm pronouncing it that like. So you believe many gods exist, but you only consistently worship one.
Could I review how to pronounce that?
Please do.
Monolatry.
Monolatry.
Yeah.
Monolatry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll get right on that. I got to start believing these other gods exist.
Oh, that's right. Thank you, theological. Yeah, flow state was being a shit.
Oh.
But you have to understand flow state's a shit. That's his thing. And by the way, I could say this to flow state and he wouldn't be offended because he knows it. Now, if you feel singled out by flow state, you have a misconception. Flow state does that to everybody. Now, are we aware of it? Yes. Is that horrible that he goes around picking on people? Yes. It's his sense of humor. That's what he thinks is funny. Now, you can say, I don't like his sense of humor. That's fine. But I promise you, if you asked him today why he said some crap and you didn't say about me, he wouldn't know what the hell you're talking about.
Also, theological, when you come up against these problems, like you, I don't handle it perfectly each time, but I tell them that I love them. So that they're being really angry or rude, and I tell them I love them. And the overwhelming insincerity of my statement flows through.
That's awesome.
And it just, for example, I was making a turn into a parking lot, and this other woman was making a turn out, and I failed to signal. I almost always do, but I didn't. And she screamed out, "Thanks for signaling, asshole." And I said, "Come back. I love you." And I didn't have to swear. I didn't have to. And by being so wonderful, I actually let them know what I really think of them. But that's just me. But
I
I'm
like
sorry you
this.
had a bad time,
This is
theologian.
a pretty good one-for-one correlation right here.
Hmm?
Clout wrote, laugh out loud. So Christianity is monotheistic in the same sense that a married man with a mistress is monogamous.
Yeah. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I'm sorry about flow state, but you're not going to find flow state on absolutely every time you drop by here. That's just not going to. He and I
I
are
can't
not best
remember when I
buddies.
last saw him.
I actually argue with flow state and will say in front of him, have said in front of him, flow state believes way too many conspiracies. His grip on reality is probably not very accurate.
Mm.
But you know, if you have a thicker skin, he's actually an okay guy.
I must sadly sign off, but thank you, Richard and Mac. I had a great time. Hey,
Always a
lovely.
pleasure, Steve.
You're all wonderful, and I
Wow.
love you. Sorry, I couldn't.
I got you first. I
Ah!
I saw it coming.
Okay. Well,
Love
anyway,
you.
it's been
Mean
real.
it.
Bye.
Bye. It's been real.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye bye. Bye bye.
Sometimes when guests are leaving the restaurant, the really late ones, you know, the ones that are already sort of transgressing what's appropriate behavior for a guest at a restaurant, I'll say that on their way. I'll say, "Bye, love you." And if they even pause a little bit, I'll say, "You know, you got to say it back. You can't make this weird now." It's on you to make it cool. I really do love them. I think it's cool. I always appreciate the late campers. I think, you know, it's like a compliment that they find the environment so comfortable that they don't even realize they're all alone in the restaurant and the servers have their uniforms off and are having beers at the bar and stuff. But I think it's great.
What's that line? Oh, won't you stay just a little bit longer?
Yeah.
You know, if the crowd stays for the performance past what time it was supposed to be,
that's right.
You know, it's a bit of a compliment.
Is. Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, for sure.
It's almost like saying, "Hey, you know what? Your restaurant is better than my house."
Yeah, exactly. I love it. I find Jill so frustrating because I feel like he's on the verge of saying something meaningful, but then
he
lets me down.
It's like the joke that doesn't land.
Yeah. Come on, man, you can do it.
Wait, I've got a Jillism for you. You ready?
All right.
I'll do you a Jillism. There was this is a lie. That's what jokes are. Okay, I'm telling you a joke. None of this happened ever. And okay. All right.
Okay.
So I'm telling you a lie. Okay, so there was a very, very, very wealthy man on the East Coast in the United States, a businessman, and he pretty much could buy, you know, anything he wanted. He was that kind of like Donald Trump wealthy, you know? Okay. And he gets married, has a kid, has a son, and doesn't want to have lots and lots of kids, but he's got this boy. He's really proud of this boy. Boy gets to be 5 years old, and he approaches his son and says, "Look," or he's close to 5 years old. He says, "Look, I don't know if you understand this, but I can do almost anything I want, you know, and because of that, and because you're my son, you can like do anything you want, really. So it's coming up on your birthday, and I'm thinking he should have whatever he wants. So, son, I'm just telling you, anything at all. You got it. You know, you're old enough to like have opinions and stuff now. So tell me what you want.
Yeah.
And, you know, take your time thinking about it. He goes, "Oh, Dad, I already know. I already know." So what do you want, son? He says, "I'd like a bucket full of green golf balls."
Okay.
So the rich guy, you know, the dad, he thought about it. He goes, "Well, you know, it's okay if my son's eccentric. That doesn't matter. He's rich. You know, let him be eccentric." So he gets him a bucket full of green, nice 2-gallon, you know. Birthday, unwraps it. He already knows what it is because he asked for it. And it's obvious it's what's around the wrapping paper. You know, it's around a bucket. You can see it. It's like, kid unwraps it and he's just happy, hugs his dad. "Thanks, Dad. I really appreciate this 2-gallon bucket of green golf balls," you know. But weirdly enough, the next day, the bucket is still in the kid's bedroom, but all the green golf balls are not to be found. And, you know, that's a couple hundred green golf balls, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. So it gets to be the boy's 10th birthday, and a man approaches him and he says, "You know, son, that wasn't a one-off on your 5th birthday, but I'm doing landmarks here. Anything you ask for, it's yours. Anything." He says, "Dad, you know, I'm 15. I'm sorry. I'm 10 years old. I'm not a little baby anymore. You know, I'm having some thoughts and stuff." He says, "You know, I'd really like a yacht full of green golf balls." So his dad sets it up, you know.
Sure. I said anything.
But the next time his dad's down by the wharf, there's the yacht. It doesn't have a green golf ball in it, but there's the yacht. Millions of green golf balls. Just, they're not there anymore. So it gets to be the boy's 15th birthday. And the man says, "Son, you know the deal." He says, "Dad, I do. I want a warehouse full of green golf balls." Eccentricity is fine, apparently. But the next day, you can already say it. The warehouse is there, but all the green golf balls are gone. So it's approaching the boy's 20th birthday, and he had a very high-speed, you know, crotch rocket, rice burner, cafe racer motorcycle, and he got into a wreck. And the boy is in the hospital, and the doctors are like, "We ain't going to be able to save him. There's just too much damage. He ain't going to make it. We've got him drugged up. He's stable. We're making him comfortable, but there's no way." So the old man sits with his son. And they decide, well, the only thing to do is say, "I love you," and make peace. You know, because this is it. This is it. He's done. Right? So, you know, they start off with the really big things, you know, "You wouldn't let me date that girl. You know, you wouldn't trust me when I turned 18 to take over a part of your business. You were irresponsible little shit, even though I gave you everything." And they go through and they get down to the really particular small stuff. And eventually they just run out of things, you know, and they're at peace with each other. And son says, "Gosh, Dad, I'm kind of done, kind of out of stuff." And Dad says, "Yeah, I'm pretty much out of stuff too." You know, "What do you mean by pretty much?" He says, "Well, there is one thing. It's not important. And I don't care. And I love you, you know, but I am curious, just since we're hanging out. What'd you ever do?" "Son, those were billions of green golf balls. I don't even know where you could put them. What did you ever do with all those green?" He says, "Oh, Dad, Dad," and he died.
That's it.
Get you
boy.
right there.
Oh, it's brutal. That is brutal.
No finish. Just no finish power.
Oh man. Okay, well, let's end it there with a thud.
Yep.
And as usual, it's always
Go ahead.
I have something to plug this week if I could.
Oh, no way. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have
And link it and stuff if it's linkable.
I have friends that have a I think I lost it off my clipboard. But anyway, there's a YouTube channel called Heathens for the People. If you just type that in, Heathens for the People. It's two friends of mine who they talk about I guess spiritual / emotional / social topics from a point of view that's nominally, I guess, pagan or from like the witchcraft tradition. And they had me on and interviewed me the other day. So because I've dabbled in that world a little bit. Awesome. Thank you, Richard. So my episode hasn't been posted yet, but these ladies are great. And I think that people in this community would appreciate the work that they're doing. So check that out. Maybe Jill could get in there and rebuke them.
This is really interesting. They have not started using, or maybe are not going to use, thumbnails, which means you have a randomly selected frame from the video as the thumbnail. They're smiling in every single video. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. Oh my gosh. Let me see if I can find one where they're not smiling. They look like they're having a great time in like 12 continuous videos. Everybody's smiling.
Very lovely ladies. Yeah. Really, really warm people. So yeah. Thank you. Thanks for the
I'm not saying they're theologically sound. I'm not saying they make sense in any religion, but they are having a good time.
They are. I mentioned you in the episode we did too, and they were like, "Oh boy, we need to talk to him." So I said, "Well, he's always down to talk." So
go ahead and slip him my email if you want.
Okay. All right, I'll do that. Yeah, I appreciate that. All right, cool. Otherwise, I'll see you next week, if not before. And
hey, Mac, thanks a lot.
Yeah, I love you.
Love you too.
All right, take care. Peace.
All right, guys. Till next time. That's this week's show. I want you all to know that I deeply look forward to the day that we're all great friends. Bye.